the autumn has arrived a little bit earlier, and many plants are adjusting to that new change of season this year. Um, so as we're moving into autumn, while the energy of the summer heat begins to decrease, the cosmic energies are peaking and increasing, and will continue to peak. And now, how do you know they are peaking? Is because of the impact that they are starting to have on the physical body, on the mental space, and the emotional space. So suddenly feeling, energetically drained, suddenly feeling completely depleted, and levels of disorientation, loss of memory, moments of losses of memory, physical pains, and aches. These are the likely symptoms that we will be moving into as these energies begin to become more and more evident. And this is affecting each and everything. It's affecting the weather, it's affecting the trees, the livestock, the birds, the bees, butterflies, every single life form is being impacted through these energetic changes. And these energetic changes are also influencing our mental space. And you will find that there are individuals at the moment that are experiencing a level of cognitive dissonance, a significant number where you know something isn't right, but yet there's a part of you that kind of denies it and believes it to be something else. There's this internal conflict, which is in many people is becoming very evident. The impact of the energy changes, the oil, gas, etc., the impact of fuel prices, the impact of food supply and food availability is here to stay. And I urge all individuals who wish to take note of this to prepare for the chaos that is starting to unfold as we head into from autumn into winter. Individuals who are paying 5,000 to 6,000 pounds for their energy bills, that's probably a quarter of salary for a number of people, if not more. So the impact you can see is upon us, and it will become far more evident as more restrictions are placed on you and I. And all of this is artificially being manufactured. This is really important to understand. Really important to understand. All of this is manufactured to bring the whole world economy to a standstill in order to give a bunch of individuals the ability to control, um, put systems in place to control all that there is. And really, we are coming to that peak now where the game is out. We know what's happening. We know, for those who are awake and aware, understand what is taking place, how governments and leaders have basically betrayed their populations and have now not got a huge wave of individuals who have been forcibly and irreversibly injected, and the impact of that is starting to be visible with death increases in the UK at the moment, 1,000 a week, above a 5 year average. And this isn't because of the heat or the energy, this is because a direct impact of the outrageous and anti humane actions that were imposed on so many people over the last 2 3 years. And so we are going into the 2002 will be remembered for many things, including energy prices, inability to access food and supplies over time, shortage of finance, but more importantly, also the impact of the 2 years of tyranny and terrorism that the world was put through this scandemic that we all now are very much aware of what was going on. This impact on, or control mechanism is only by a bunch of, few people, several thousand, over 9 billion people. So the dynamics will change, and the dynamics will change as more and more individuals become aware of what's going on. And they will, not because they want to, but because circumstances will bring us to that point, and are bringing us to that point, and are bringing us to that point rather starkly. While all of this is going on, there are other issues that will begin to emerge as we're going along, and I am simply putting this out there as a level of caution. If it doesn't happen, then we can all have a laugh. But my anticipation is that the next disease that will begin to emerge will be based on products that are associated with meat, and will come in the form of blisters that will be seep, etc. So just as we were aware of the scandemic before it kicked off, and therefore put processes in place, we urge others to take caution. Um, the energetic changes that we are going through, and these are like cosmic energetic changes, right? And it's happening throughout the whole solar system. It's not, there's nothing special about Earth in that way. These changes are the transition from one kind of age to another, so they are expected. These transitions have been identified in many other indigenous cultures. Unfortunately, what has happened is that our sphere of knowledge, what is true, so to speak, and what is factual, has been controlled and maintained over the last, certainly the last, I would say, 100, 150 years. This goes to the scientific community. This goes to the whole, psychology, biomedical model, the finance model. The whole thing has been something that's been imposed upon us, and a particular system of knowledge, a sphere of knowledge, a paradigm, a prism of knowledge from which you cannot question this knowledge. So, for example, if you remember, so when I first introduced mindfulness to the UK as a course at Coventry University back in the 1990s, many, in fact, no one wanted to touch it with a barge pole because, the word meditation meant something different to them. And today, everyone and Bob's and their uncle are experts in it. The same thing is starting to happen in other spheres of knowledge that are breaking through this prism. And so, for example, to date, we have been told, so let's just look at some basic stuff. So we have been told that everything is composed of electrons, protons, neutrons, and atoms fit together, and they create molecules, and molecules fit together, and they create compounds, and those compounds give rise to all that's around us. But if one was to ask someone, can you please describe a electron to me? Can you show me what it is? You will find that they are hard pressed to say anything other than that it is a potential change in energy. But most of the atom is space. Actually, it's not space. So this sphere of knowledge, meaning that we have five elements and solid, liquid, plasma, fire, and gas, and the fifth one is supposed to be space. Well, this isn't technically true. It's more like that it is Akash. In fact, it is Akash, and Akash means ether. Akash means that there is a substance. There's a substance that is through which everything manifests, including energy, including form, including the dissolving of form. So this Newtonian physics of electrons, protons, neutrons, and atoms and stuff, it's redundant now. It's redundant. Yet this model is maintained. The same is true for the biomedical model, where the mind and the body are kept separate. Yeah, so you go to your psychologists and all of that kind of people's counselors for your mental stuff, and you go to your GPs and doctors for your physical stuff. Well, this again is utter bullshit. The mind is connected to the body. Every single human being experiences that every single day of their life. What you think manifests what your stories manifest as an emotion, which is a sensation in the body. When you feel fear, you don't feel fear in your hands, you feel it in your mind. Your mind interprets a particular situation as fearful or not. That interpretation then changes your physiology. So everyone knows that the mind and body are connected. Yet your GPs and your psychologists are so far away from this paradigm. Why? Because they've been taught to think in these rather reductionist and I would say profit motivated ways of thinking. Because if we can separate the mind from the body, then I can treat the mind separate and I can treat the body separate. And who benefits out of this? Well, your guess is as good as mine, and it is the poison makers, also known as the pharmaceutical. So that paradigm in itself is incorrect. Then let's move on the paradigm of the body. That the body is a machine, and if the body breaks down, then we need someone from the outside to put something in us to fix us. This is not true. When you cut yourself, you will notice as long as that is clean, the body will heal itself, the body will balance itself, the body will maintain itself. We have to realize as human beings, as intelligent human beings, not the brainwashed, but the intelligent human beings who are able to understand that the human body is a fluid, dynamic, active system or multiple systems which are electromagnetic in their nature. You know, you have 70 trillion cells in your body. Each one of your cells is going through 100,000 reactions at any given time. The amount of energy that's in the body is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And obviously, the mystics of old have demonstrated this in many ways. So, again, realizing that the body is in fact multidimensional, that it's just not all about the physical, but there are different elements, there are different energetic channels. For example, the 72,000 nadis that we have within our body. How did the Hindus know about this? How did the people of the Indic Valley know about this if you cremate dead bodies? When did you cut it up and find out with your highly sensitive apparatus 5,000 years ago that we had meridian channels? How did this happen? Yeah, this happens. This happens very much. This happens very much in a way that allows. So let me look at it perhaps in another way. I've just lost my train of thought there. So let me look at it in another way. So these models of reality, whether they are to do with the body, whether they are to do with physics, even in the physics is redundant. Yeah, even quantum physics is redundant because things are to do with consciousness and etheric space, akash. And unless we understand those as fundamental components of the universe, we will always be kind of looking at, like it's like the six blind men trying to look at an elephant and each one coming with their own conclusion, no one actually getting the picture. So this sphere of knowledge is now starting to fall apart. Now is falling apart. This sphere of knowledge has now been disrupted through different worldviews, indigenous worldviews, worldviews that go beyond thought, worldviews that go to the states of consciousness, nirvana, no thingness, no emptiness, the worldviews that go into unified consciousness, samadhi, worldviews that offer you acupuncture, Ayurveda. All of this is starting to now emerge in also the challenge to the current paradigm of how we consider science to be. So these worldviews are complementary to the changes that we are going through. So what will emerge, because it is a system, start, middle, end, what will emerge is a new worldview that will be based on integrated, experiential, indigenous, wisdom-based understanding, which integrates with technology and a new approach to science investigation that will then be complemented with the systematic changes that we are all now starting to experience, whether it's finance, whether it's governments, whether it's public health services. So as these worldviews begin to change, it is absolutely critical that we, because the changes are quite chaotic, particularly in the winter months, when food supplies will in fact impact many, as will energy. And this concept of langar that was introduced by Guru Nanak in 500 years ago of a communal kitchen will now become relevant to the world we are moving forward in, where we, as a communal approach, will be able to live in a far more healthier and sustainable way rather than this individual egotistical cultivation that we have all been kind of taken down. So these worldviews, as they are changing, are being complemented by the changes that are going on around us through systems. It's important for us to recognize that at this stage, everything is in transition, can't hold on to anything, and is to maintain your own balance. And to maintain your own balance, meditation is critical. It's no longer a luxury, it's no longer to get you a good sleep. It is now to ensure that you're able to move beyond the thought. You're able to move beyond the thoughts, the emotional space, and the physical sensations, and move more and more towards this awareness, this consciousness. And while many people feel that the object of meditation is, or the objective of meditation is to become present to the moment, so it's present moment awareness. Um, if we begin our journey and we are truthful in our, so sincere in our inquiry, internal inquiry, we will come to a conclusion. I say we, there is no we, to come to a conclusion, but the recognition will be that you are not an observer, but you are an act of observation. It's a happening. Yeah, you're not an observer, like, oh, I'm observing, I'm observing. The observation is taking place without your input. So, in other words, can you stop yourself having an experience? And the answer is no. Why? Because it is a happening, and that happening is happening with a ground of being, and that ground of being is consciousness, observation, awareness, etc. So we have started to now become aware of the importance of meditation, and through meditation, we will come to a doorway. And this doorway is at the point of silence and stillness. This doorway is when we realize that there is no separation between the ocean and the wave. Yeah, between the ocean and the wave. And once the wave, that's you and I, egocentric identification, recognize the wateriness, the wetness of our being, then the association and the identification is then with the ocean, and you become an expression of the ocean, moving in hukam, moving in that unfolding, moment to moment unfolding, yeah, balancing. While all of this is also happening, and this is the possibility that we can maintain, we can achieve through our regular practice, the practical elements at this stage are to ensure that we have maintained health, we ensure that we do all to give the body the necessary resources to maintain itself, as the winter months will become more and more difficult. For individuals to have the same level of freedom that they may be experiencing now. Freedom just means in terms of energy, heat, outside, the sun, etc., etc. Right. So another way of looking at our worldview is, I've just read something about heaven being in our heart and hell being the roots being in hell. That's an interesting observation. I would say hell and heaven are states of mind. When you are in suffering, when you are in your egoic state, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be love. Even that too is an egoic state at times, particularly in the early stages, and that too becomes one's hell. Yeah. At the same time, one can be in the middle of a supermarket but content and chilled out in themselves, and heaven becomes present in themselves. So, yes, heaven is being present, and to be present is to be in the heart. When you're in the mind, then you are in hell. So, thank you for that wonderful insight there. So, um, we will now, I think I've given you enough insight into what I have at the moment for the unfolding changes that we are experiencing. Um, I would urge everyone to not believe anything out there. Your experience has to be your truth. Not get involved, disengage from all the dramas that are going on around you. Riots, angers, protests will inevitably increase. Inevitably increase. And the wise observer will refrain from adding anything towards that negative energy. Cultivate now peace, cultivate now harmony, because that is what's going to see us through these chaotic changes over the next few um, months, and perhaps even hate to say it, maybe even a few years. So important for us to recognize we are never going to go back to normal. There is no normal ever going to happen. This is a actual reset going on, but not in the terms of the oppressor dark ones. It's a reorganization in which many things will change, but not necessarily as the oppressors wish it to change. Existence always knows what it's doing, and it's doing what needs to be done. And now it is not in our control. There's nothing you and I can do now to control what is going to unfold and is unfolding, including the earth changes that are coming. So the only thing we can do is maintain our peace, allow ourselves to experience some level of tranquility. So today we will do a short meditation. We will look at the heart. So it's a heart coherence meditation. And again, those people who can't sit for many, 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes, or whatever it is in their meditation, this is a really simple meditation. And I would urge everyone to practice this. And it's got phenomenal impact on a human being. So the meditation goes something like this, right? So we calm ourselves down, we do a quick body scan just to become aware of what's going on within ourselves. Then we bring our palms to our chest and we become aware of the movement of the breath with the chest and ensure that our focus begins to rest in this part of the body. Next, we begin to then look at the breath and we get into this rhythmic breathing. And I would suggest that as you breathe in, if you breathe in to a count of 6, so it's like 6 seconds to breathe in and 6 seconds to breathe out. And we do this for several breaths, maybe for a minute or two, until the breath becomes the rhythm becomes a bit more sustained. Once that rhythm is there, we then slow our breath down once. So we may now go from 1 to 6 to 1 to 7, for argument's sake. Or if your breath is already 1 to 9, you may take it to 1 to 10. But you slow it down a little bit. And then once you've slowed it down, you slow it down again. So you slow it down twice, not once, twice. At the second time of slowing down, you will realize that the breath becomes quite subtle. And once the breath is subtle, you bring to your mind something that charges that space with a feeling. And the feeling we are trying to cultivate is a feeling of love, appreciation, kindness, compassion, gratitude. What else can there be? Um, um, yeah, I guess those are the positive ones that come to my mind. Optimism. So if you have someone or something that generates that love in you, that feeling of love, then that's the time you bring that to your mind. Once you bring that to your mind, you will find that the energy begins to shift somewhat. And once you begin to notice that, you draw a slow, deep breath in, you hold that breath, and then you let that breath go. Your primary letting go of the breath, and you sit there. You sit there in that presence for a few moments, minute, 2 minutes, however long you want, just to allow the body, for the breath, the mind, and the emotions to align themselves. Okay, So when we're ready, if you just gently close your eyes, move your back up, make sure your back is straight and upright, shoulders are pulled back, and with the blessing of our lineage, our teachers, and our teachers, authentic lineage, we begin this process. So first, as you breathe in, bring your focus to your whole body as just sensing your body from the top to the bottom. Notice your posture. If you need to change your posture, change your posture. Ensuring that your body feels comfortable, feels relaxed, and we'll see how much relaxed we are. And see if there's anything dominant. So if you imagine a hula hoop above your head, it begins to move down, scanning your body for any sensations that are dominant. A tightness, an ache, an itch, a pain, all the way down. And when you locate anything, you just locate it, right? No commentary, no judgment. On your next breath in, I want you to bring your focus as best as you can on your chair or the seat you're on. And become aware of the fact that whatever you're sitting on is holding you in place. You're supported. And if you were to let go, you're not going to go anywhere. Notice how well you're supported. And this allows the flesh of the body to soften a little bit because we feel supported. Notice how well you're held in place. And then bring your focus to the sensation where your body makes contact with your chair or the seat you're on. Yeah. Our intention is simply to become present as best as we can. Don't give yourself a hard time. Notice the sensation. As you breathe in, you become aware of your hips as best as you can. And once again, scanning them for any sensations that are dominant. As you breathe out, you bring your focus down your thighs until you arrive at your knees. From your knees, as you breathe out on your next breath out, you begin to move your awareness down your shin, down your calf, gently moving towards your ankle. Notice your feet, and then bringing your focus to the soles of your feet as best as you can. Next breath in, notice that you bring your focus back to the seat you're on. And once again, notice how well you're supported, held in place. And there are sensations where the chair makes contact or the seat makes contact with your body. From those sensations, as you breathe in, you bring this focus up your back, scanning your lower back, gently moving up towards your middle back. Next breath in, you move from your middle back up towards your shoulder blades. From your shoulder, you move down towards your elbows. Scanning the tops of your arm as best as you can. And then moving down from your elbows to your wrists. Notice the palms of your hands. Notice the fingers on your hand. Next breath in, bring your focus now towards your eye. Notice the darkness. Recognizing that you have awareness. In fact, you are awareness. Your fundamental nature is nothing more than awareness. There's no one who owns this awareness. This is what and who you are. Notice the darkness, scan around your eyes, and then as you breathe out, you allow this part of the body to soften and relax. Next breath in, you bring your focus towards your mouth. Notice your tongue. Notice the roof of your mouth. Notice the sensations within your mouth. Allow your tongue to soften. And then as you breathe out, allow your face to soften. Next breath in, you become aware of your body as best as you can. Notice if there's anything dominant in the body now. When you're ready, first allow your breath to find a rhythm. Allow it to flow by itself. Now, when you're ready, you bring your focus to your chest. And for men, you place your left palm up first. And for women, you place the right palm first on the chest, moving the other palm on top of your hand. So now your focus is at your chest. And all you're doing now is simply watching the movement of your chest synchronized with the breath. Your awareness where the hands, the palms make contact with the chest. Allow the breath to breathe by itself. Now very gently, as the breath comes in, we begin to count 1 to 6. Elongating the breath if we need to. As we breathe out, we count 1 to 6. Breathing in, 1 to 6. Breathing out, 1 to 6. Breathing in, 1 to 6. Breathing out, 1 to 6. And as you do that, you will notice that your breath begins to synchronize itself to that count. 1 to 6 as you breathe in. 1 to 6 as you breathe out. Now we can continue this for as long as we want, but for our purposes, we will do this for just a couple of minutes. 1 to 6 as you breathe in, 1 to 6 as you breathe out. Just placing the palms of your hand against your chest creates a circuit, an energetic circuit that allows the body to synchronize. The heart rate variability to be maintained, and for the body to go into homeostasis, balance. 1 to 6 on the breath in, 1 to 6 on the breath out. And now, quite deliberately and gently, we begin to slow the breath down just a little bit. We count 1 to 7 as we breathe in. We count 1 to 7 as we breathe out. We have slowed the breath down. We haven't increased the amount of breathing. We've simply slowed the breath down. One to 7 on the breath in, 1 to 7 on the breath out. One to 7 on the breath in, 1 to 7 on the breath out. And you will notice that perhaps on the back, you begin to feel a sensation on the back, corresponding to where the palms touch your chest. Imagine that you're breathing in through this part of the body. 1 to 7 on the breath in, 1 to 7 on the breath out. And now we slow it down just once more. I count 1 to 8 on the breath in. I count 1 to 8 on the breath out. My breath has slowed down. Notice how slowly the breath flows. Yet it doesn't create any distress in the body. And we come to a point at which the breath seems to have slowed down and become quite subtle. It's at this point we bring someone or something to mind that generates that feeling of love, compassion, appreciation, gratitude, whatever positive emotion. So bring to your mind a memory, a person, a pet. And as you bring it to your memory, you begin to give it more detail, remembering a moment, a time. And as you remember that moment of time, or just simply appreciating this moment, anticipating, sense of excitement, allow that emotion to build in. Allow that sensation to become present for the inner environment to start shifting. And once you begin to notice that, and the more detail you give to your memory, the more detail you give to whatever is invoking that emotion, the stronger that emotion becomes. And once you begin to feel it, hold that feeling, focus on it, focusing around your chest, your heart, and then very gently you begin to draw a slow, deep breath in. Filling your abdomen, filling your chest, filling the entire body. Hold that for a moment, and when you're ready, release. Going back to regular breathing, holding that space, knowing that you've taken a moment for yourself, a moment of kindness for yourself, a moment of connecting to the source within yourself, and a moment to nourish your very heart. And in your own good time, when you're ready, you can draw some slow, deep breaths in, and in your own good time, gently open your eyes.